Hi everyone, it's Alex from the American Guitar Academy, and today we're going to talk about how to play with a staccato feel. First of all, we must understand what a staccato feel actually is. Now, to put it simply, it's where we take a note that is usually a specific length, but we cut it short. So, for example, it would sound something like this, rather than... And hopefully you can hear that in the example played at the start of the video. So how am I actually doing that? Now, sometimes you might come across muting in several forms on the guitar. It could be like palm muting, or muting like this. But staccato is a little bit different. So when we press a note on the guitar, we have to play with a certain amount of pressure in order to get the sound nice and clear. And let's just use this C note here as an example. So we have to press a certain way to actually be able to do that. Now, if I release some of that pressure, this happens. The note gets cut short. And it's possible to do that with single notes. Or we could do it with chords. And it's relatively straightforward, but it does take a certain amount of finesse with your fingers. Now, when would you do staccato? When would you use it? You could do it when you're told to. You could do it when you read in a piece of music that you have to. Or you could do it whenever you think it's appropriate as a musician, because there's a certain amount of artistic license we're allowed as musicians. Now, usually you would see this as a tiny little dot above or below a note on a piece of notation, but it has to be above or below. If it's to the left or right, it's a dotted note, and therefore the rhythm is different. Some styles have a bit more of a tendency to have staccato. For example, the funky song you heard at the start, which was a bit like this. That kind of feels right, whereas other styles, it might not work. We're just going to look at the funky style today. Now, this is the line I played in the song. Now, if I'd done that without staccato, it would sound like this. Now, personally, the first one sounds a bit better. Entirely subjective, but it's also more stylistically appropriate. It adds a more of a percussive feel. It sounds a little bit more involved, like everything's connected a little bit better as well. And it builds a bit of interest, so you can play a simple line like this one. And you don't have to use staccato on all of the notes. You could use it on some of them. You could alternate it. You could change it. That's entirely up to you if you were to write a song. If you were going to play another song that has specific staccato, then you might want to put those in the right places. Let's try and put this into practice. So we're going to start with a single note. I'm going to choose this C note here, which is on the 5th fret of the G string, and I'm going to play it in quarter notes without any staccato feel, so the speed will be something like this. 3, 4, 1, 2, and listen to this. We have... Now that's without any staccato at all. Let's try and add staccato on all of those notes. Now the physical action here, if you can see, my finger is almost moving off the string, but not a lot. Some, just enough to cut the note short. Now we go back to without staccato. 3, 4, Let's do staccato on the first two, so on beats 1 and 2. So we'll have let's try it on 1 and 3 now. Let's try staccato with some really easy chords. Let's try a D chord. Everyone should know a D chord. So that'll be open D, G2, B3, and E2. Nice and easy. Now similar to before, we'll play in quarter notes at this kind of speed. And let's do staccato on beats 3 and 4. Now you can try that on pretty much any chord that you know. You could try it in a few different scenarios, see what happens. Try it with some single notes. Try and practice your scales using just staccato. Then try and maybe do it alternating around, mixing it up. It's something that you might not always use. You might rarely use it. You might use it all the time, but you should practice it and be able to do it if you need to. Good luck.